It's hard to believe that just 7 years ago, we came together for the 2012 Olympic Games. During that glorious summer, we showed this great nation of ours in the best possible light as we truly welcomed the world in. Now, tragically, we stand on the brink of shutting it out. One of the proudest moments in our modern history, shattered and betrayed. The past few months have been nothing short of a national humiliation. For nearly 3 years, the government has used a wafer-thin referendum majority to sow division in our towns, our cities, and even in our families. But those who seek to divide us will never win. We demand better than Brexit. We're proud of our country and its record of playing our part in Europe and the wider world. Proud of being part of a continent, not trying to be apart from it.
The Conservatives have wasted years fighting amongst themselves and ignoring the issues that are affecting our local communities. Rising crime, homelessness, overstretched public services. We must stop Brexit and renew Britain by tackling the big issues facing our country.
We can invest in our NHS and stop it being used as a political football. We can build the affordable homes needed to help young people onto the housing ladder and reverse the harmful cuts to schools which risk damaging our children's education. And working as leaders in Europe, we can do so much more to lead the world in fighting climate change. The Liberal Democrats are proud to have campaigned from the start for almost 3 years to give you the final say on Brexit. Whoever you voted for in the past, and wherever you are, if you want the final say on Brexit, now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to join our movement. On the Lib Dem website, you'll find a number of simple ways of making your voice heard. Join us and back the campaign.
Together we can stop Brexit and build a country that we can all be truly proud of. If you want to end the embarrassment that's Brexit, the time to act is now.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Siobhan Bonita, and I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London. And it's my real pleasure to welcome you all here today for the official launch of our EU election campaign. Now, I joined the Liberal Democrats on the morning of the EU referendum result. And I can still clearly remember how heartbroken, angry, and frustrated I felt on that day. As a former senior civil servant, I had never even contemplated being a member of a political party. But Brexit changed that. And it changed that not only because I believe passionately that we are better off inside the EU with all the economic, social and environmental benefits that membership brings, but it also changed that because the whole Brexit fiasco has highlighted just how dysfunctional the Conservatives and Labour have become. The extent to which they are being driven by their extreme internal factions, and in particular, how quickly a dangerous, populist, right-wing narrative can start to take hold and manifest on our streets and in our institutions. I knew then, and I know now, that our country is so much better than this. Whatever your politics, it's safe to say that the Conservatives and Labour have let everybody down. They have repeatedly put personal or party issues before the national interest. After 2 years of bungled negotiations, May's government still has no viable deal and no credible plan. And having spent weeks trying to do a deal to deliver Brexit, Corbyn's Labour continues to fudge its position, leaving even its own members confused and frustrated. Brexit has simply become a national humiliation. Now, the Liberal Democrats, we're the antidote to this political malaise. Now more than ever, we need a strong, progressive force, one that will defend and champion the liberal values that make our country so wonderful. In 2012, I left my job in the civil service to run as an independent candidate in the Mayor of London election. Even then, some 7 years ago, I was talking about the need for a new type of politics, for different, more diverse voices to be heard in public leadership. In many ways, I was the original Tigger. But I know now that we, progressives, liberals, pro-Europeans, we are much, much stronger together. And that is why I'm proud to have joined the Liberal Democrats, and I'm even more proud to have been selected as their candidate for Mayor of London in 2020. Now, we have a fantastic opportunity to run our best ever mayoral campaign next year. The Conservatives have selected a relatively unknown Brexiteer candidate. The current mayor is failing to deliver on key areas, including serious crime and Crossrail. London is Remain. It's tolerant, it's liberal, and we reflect those values more than any other party, and we will run a winning campaign across the capital. But before we get to that, we have some exciting weeks ahead and other campaigns to fight. In the local elections on 2nd of May, we expect to see very good results, right across England, winning against Labour and against the Conservatives. On the doorstep, our clear and consistent anti-Brexit message is resonating with more and more people, reflecting the fact that the will of the people has clearly shifted in favour of Remain. And in a world dominated by Brexit, we haven't forgotten that for many people, the big issues that matter to them are things like public services, whether that's investment in community policing, provision of mental health support, and developing a sustainable future for our NHS, or ensuring that we really do address the urgent climate emergency facing us and our planet. We have been talking about all these issues, and people like what we have to say. And then, of course, we will have the European elections on the 23rd of May. Our message for the European elections is very, very clear. Every vote for the Liberal Democrats is a vote to stop Brexit. Since the referendum, we have campaigned tirelessly for a people's vote with the option to remain. And we have championed the rights of EU citizens living in this country, our friends, neighbours, partners, parents, all of whom, like my French husband, have quite literally been unsettled by this callous government, despite having lived and contributed here for years. Here in London, I will be campaigning alongside our wonderful team of European candidates. They're all here today. London thrives because it's European as well as an English city. There is no Brexit deal that is good for London or good for the UK. Every sector, from hospitality to healthcare, from construction to the creative industries, benefits from the free movement of people and frictionless trade with our EU friends and partners. And I know that up and down the country, thousands and thousands of other Lib Dem members and activists are campaigning to stop Brexit too. So every single Lib Dem MEP who is elected at the end of May will send a clear signal, a signal that we, the United Kingdom, are regaining our rightful place at the heart of Europe, from where we can shape a peaceful, sustainable and progressive future with our European neighbours. Now that's worth fighting for. Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask Shafiq Mohammed, who is our lead candidate in Yorkshire and the Humber, to say a few words. Thank you, Shafiq.
Thank you, Siobhan, and welcome everyone. My name is Shafiq Mohammed. and I'm the lead Liberal Democrat candidate for the upcoming European parliamentary elections for the Yorkshire and the Humber region. It's a region that welcomed my grandfather, father, uncle, who all came to this country after the Second World War to better their lives and help rebuild this country. Working in the mills of West Yorkshire around Leeds and Bradford before setting up home in Sheffield working in the steel industry. Whilst my family did not live through the horrors of the Second World War, we have benefited from the 70 years of peace that we have seen since. This is in no small part to the establishment of the European Union and its predecessor, the EEC. By working together, we have not just secured peace in Europe for the past 70 years, we have also seen economic developments that have benefited us all. The Yorkshire and Humber region has benefited hugely from investment from the European Union and received funding over the years for research, social enterprise, business support, regeneration and infrastructure. Within our region, companies like Siemens in Hull, O2 in Leeds, the chemical company BASF in Bradford. Within my own neighbourhood of Sheffield Rotherham, we have McLaren, Boeing, Rolls-Royce, all hosted at the Advanced Manufacturing Park. All of these have set up businesses and invested here. Projects across Yorkshire have received funding on schemes such as the Fink Carbon Centre in Barnsley, the Deep in Hull, Doncaster and Sheffield Airport, Wright Watson Enterprise in Bradford, and the Hebden Bridge Community Association, to name a few. Currently, on offer is 4.2 million for projects promoting climate change adaptation, hugely important, in the Humber, around York, North Yorkshire and East Riding. 3.5 million worth of investment in projects promoting inclusive growth within the Leeds City region, helping older workers and those from minority groups get into work, and also a further 3.5 million helping them to stay in work through training and mentoring. The University of York has been awarded 1.5 million to support the growth of Yorkshire businesses to deliver innovative products, processes, services related to renewable and biological resources. Benefits of being in Europe are clear to be seen in Yorkshire and Humber. With all these benefits, is it no wonder that more than a third of small and medium-sized companies in Yorkshire and the Humber think they will be worse off because of Brexit? Just 14% of SMEs in our region say businesses will be better off overall because of Brexit. And let's face it, Brexit is a national embarrassment. Both Labour and the Conservatives have failed to find a way forward. That's why I've been campaigning to give people the final say on Brexit. Yorkshire and Humber is an outward-looking region that has historic links as an exporter to Europe. I want to use the position as an MEP to build upon these historic links to further benefit our region. During the 2016 referendum, I campaigned tirelessly to remain within the European Union. Since then, I've continued to argue that the best deal available is the one we currently have and that has served our country for the past 40 years. Every vote cast for the Liberal Democrats on the 23rd of May will be in support of giving the people the final say. That's why I'm proud to lead a team for the Yorkshire Humber that wants to stop Brexit. The choice is clear. The Liberal Democrats will be fighting this election as unashamedly the pro-European party, campaigning to remain in the EU. Every vote for the Liberal Democrats on Thursday, the 23rd of May, is a vote to stop Brexit. It now gives me a great pleasure to welcome our leader, Sir Vince Cable MP, to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to this launch. And the launch of the European elections by the Liberal Democrats is with a very simple message, which is stop Brexit. It's simple, it's uncomplicated, it's unambiguous, We're not iffing and butting. It's honest. And that's the message that we will be taking to the country. In an election which a lot of people are asking, well, you know, why we're having it. Other people are cross and confused. You know, why are we having this election now? And the reason we're having this election is because the promoters of Brexit can't agree amongst themselves what Brexit is and what they want it to be. And we've got numerous versions of what Brexit is supposed to look like. We've got the government deal. We've got the more extreme versions favoured by the majority of people in the Conservative Party and the parties to the right of it. We've got Jeremy Corbyn's version of Brexit, which he's now trying to stitch up in negotiations with Theresa May. At least three. And the consequence is a mess. And we've got a country now in a state of paralysis. And a parliament is gridlocked. Civil service isn't functioning. There's no government. The big priorities of the country are not being addressed. The country's demoralised. And we have to find a way out of it. And the only practical way out of it is the one where we led the way in arguing that we've got to go back to the people and say to them, look, you know, Brexit, now you've seen it, is this what you voted for? Or would you rather remain within the European Union? And in that campaign, we are the party of Remain. And we're very clear that whatever form of Brexit emerges, if it ever emerges, is bound to leave us poorer, less influential, less safe than we are at the moment. I mean, you may remember that the original referendum was conducted around the issue of the NHS. Well, it's now abundantly clear that if you have a poorer, smaller economy, there are less resources for the NHS. We now know that if there is less cooperation on security, we're a more dangerous place. The world has become a more dangerous place since the referendum took place. We've got Putin and Trump, you know, running amok. And it's much safer to be within the European Union. Now, what we will be arguing in these elections is that if you believe that, if you want to stop Brexit, if you want to remain, you should vote for the Liberal Democrats. Now, why vote for the Liberal Democrats? We always have been the party for Europe. It's a long tradition. It goes back, you know, Joe Crimond, Paddy Ashdown, Roy Jenkins, Charles Kennedy. We made the case for Britain as a European country. And when the referendum happened, we were the first people to argue that that was not the last word. I recall when I was inaugurated as leader a couple of years ago, introducing the phrase exit from Brexit. It was regarded at the time as a bit wacky. It was never going to happen. Well, actually now it's the mainstream. And the bookmakers, who are generally more reliable forecasters than political pundits, now regard it as the most likely outcome. Now, I believe that against that background, we can make the case in the way that we have before, that we've been right. I was a member of Parliament when Charles Kennedy was leader, and we were faced with the Iraq War. And at the time, we were regarded as way out on a limb, unpatriotic, and we were vindicated, and we were proved right. And that's why I believe that we will be right about Europe, and we will be vindicated. And that's why I believe people will get behind it. But I just want to say that I have a couple of regrets about these elections. The first regret is that we're not standing on a common platform with the other Remain parties to stop Brexit. It's true that the Brexit parties are also divided, but we should be standing together. And the millions of people in this country who want to remain would expect us to stand together. It hasn't happened. The Liberal Democrats made it very clear we were happy to work with others. Wasn't reciprocated, and we're going our own way. But as the strongest of the Remain parties, we will do well. But it is a pity, and I regret that we're not doing the combined campaign. My other regret is that we've got 2 elections taking place at the same time. We've got very important local elections taking place across England. And these matter. You know, the quality of government locally matters. It's something we as a party take seriously, and we do well. And we've got 5,000 councillors and candidates out there competing in these elections. And I want us all in this audience to devote the next week to campaigning on their behalf, because their campaign matters. And if we do well, and I think we are going to do well, that will be the very clearest message of our strength as a party. And it will carry us, it will give us the momentum into the European elections which follow. So let me come back to our very clear message that every vote for the Liberal Democrats is a vote to stop Brexit. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Vince has very kindly said that he's happy to take questions. So if we start here? Yep.
John?
Tom Rayner from Sky News. Making Stop Brexit your single focus for this campaign surely risks playing into the idea that this could become a proxy vote in place of a second referendum. If that were the case, and the Brexit Party and UKIP and perhaps the Conservatives on vote share came out on top of the Liberal Democrats and Change UK and the Greens, would you accept that as a proxy result, and what would the impact be on your calls for a second referendum?
No, it's not a proxy vote, precisely because we're going to have a variety of parties campaigning for Remain and a variety of parties campaigning for Brexit. No, we want, after the European elections, to get back to the issue of having a people's vote. That is the only way of resolving the issue, in which there is a question on the ballot paper: do you wish to remain or do you wish to proceed with Brexit? That's the question which will have to be answered, and the European elections will give people a sense of what they feel about it. They will not give us a clear answer to that question.
Do you just want to pass the mic along? Yeah.
John Pinar, BBC News. Sir Vince, a significant proportion of voters dislike Brexit and wants a new referendum. So why do you think your party is performing as poorly as it is in the polls? And if I may, you've reached out to the new party, Change UK, and offered partnership. They rebuffed you, and they're coming after your votes. Has that made a very difficult election all but impossible?
Well, on the first point, I'm not sure I agree with you. The polls are all over the place. Some of those show us in quite a healthy position. And the median is roughly about 50% up on when I took over the leadership of the party a couple of years ago. And we are doing significantly well in the local elections that the by-elections we've had across the country over the last couple of years. I think we average about 20%. But we'll see next Thursday whether your proposition is true. I think we will do very well, actually, and our level of support will be shown to have been significantly underestimated. Now, as for the second point, I think it was unfortunate that we had the publication of that document from the Change UK. My understanding is that they have disowned it. I hope so, because I think there are millions of people in the country who are craving an alternative to the extremes that they're now getting on the right and left from the Tory party and the Labour Party. And they do want people to come together who have a more moderate, centrist approach to politics. And we want to be part of that. And I think it will happen. I think it's unfortunate that we're not working together in this election, but I think beyond it, I think that will happen. And we shouldn't allow ourselves, I think, allow other people anyway, to be obsessed by what Sigmund Freud once called the narcissism of small differences.
Thanks. We'll take the next one on that row.
Hi, Sir Vince, Adam Payne from Business Insider. It's just a kind of a natural follow-up to John's question, because, as you said, Change UK has rejected an electoral alliance, how you'd like to describe it, but it's not just this, this leaked briefing strategy. Last week, Chris Leslie, the MP, said that an electoral alliance will likely never happen. He said the Lib Dems had fallen below a critical mass and didn't have the drive to get out of it, and called on the party's members, politicians and donors to quit the Lib Dems and join Change UK. So I'm just wondering, have you been surprised or taken aback by the level of hostility you've received from certain members of Change UK since its launch?
Well, there are individual comments by individual members. That isn't my sense of where they collectively are, to the extent that they do have a collective voice. And we do meet, and we will cooperate in Parliament on other matters. I intend that at least we will rise above all that, to be frank. As I go back to the point I made to John a moment ago, I think there are millions of people out there willing us to work together. And they will feel, I think, angry and betrayed if they find petty tribalism is trumping that. You know, that's the old politics. And I thought they were trying to get away from it, and we certainly are. And I think that at the end of this, common sense will prevail. But it's unfortunate that we've had these unhelpful comments.
Sir Vince, Oliver Milne from the Daily Mirror. Polls have shown Nigel Farage's Brexit party performing very well. Some polls even have him winning these elections in May. If Nigel Farage's party win these elections, is the dream of a second referendum stone dead?
Sorry, I missed
The dream of a second referendum.
No, absolutely not. And indeed, it will be a thread in our European campaign, and it will be, I think, in the European campaign of other parties too, that this is the way that the massive frustration in the country is going to be resolved. I mean, the one argument that is being seriously advanced by government and opponents of a referendum is that there will be a lot of angry people. Well, I have to say that if Brexit proceeds, there will be a lot of angry people that it has gone ahead, very angry people, the young people whose future has been taken from them. You know, the freedom to live, work, travel in the European Union has been taken away. They will be very angry. And I want their anger to be channeled into campaigning and voting in this European election, and then in a referendum. That's the way to deal with it. It's far from dead, very much alive.
Is there a lady at the back further?
I'm Jenny McKinnon from PA. I just wanted to know what your response was to accusations that the Lib Dems are a party of the establishment seeking to block the democratic will of the people.
Well, we are a serious party, if that's what you mean by saying we're a party of the establishment. No, I've been in government. I've been a cabinet minister. To that extent, we're not just a fringe protest party. We're a serious party. It's something serious to say and serious to offer, and we're not embarrassed about that. But we're a radical party, and we have radical, liberal, social democratic ideas. And it's that combination of radical ideas and experience in government, nationally and locally, that marks us out as different.
Any other questions? No? Okay.
Thanks.
Do you want to invite all the candidates? Do you have a photograph? I am going to invite all of our candidates who are here, all of our European candidates here, to have a group photograph. So if you'd like to come up to the stage.
Still an MEP.
And an MEP, yes.